Okay, so we're going to be talking about the Teatro Dom Pedro V, and it's going to... I'm going to be talking about that and this. So this is this book, and they're talking about this one because this performer here played here, and I'm going to talk about who this is and what this is and a whole lot more, so just stay tuned. So I'm going to be talking about the theater, the Grand Prix down there, 1860s, and we're even going to go inside and we're going to show you what it looks like inside of that as well. So so stay tuned. That's called, he's called Tom Thumb, by the way. Hey, check it out, Macau 2023. Check out some more streets. Okay, so before we even go in, I'm going to talk about this guy for a second. And the reason what I'm doing is I'm talking about this particular book. So this one's called Watching the Band Go By, and they're talking about, as you can see, 1818 to 1935. So it's about these band progressions in this area, and this particular cathedral was where different people would perform, but actually the main band would be this other area, which I'm going to show you on a map. And I think this will kind of put everything into context right here. Let me just take a look at that real quick. So this is what Macau used to look like, and right now we're Church of Santo Agostinho. So that's right across the street right there, this yellow one, and that's Dom Pedro. And basically these areas right here, there's a street called Rua Centro, which is right below us, and then there's another one that was Gran Praia, and then now there's all this reclaimed land, all the orange. So we're basically about 1 block away from where the orange is at and where traditional Macau is at. So with that being said, what I'm going to do is we're going to I'll kind of talk about it and bring you through, and we're going to basically go up there next. Just give you a little bit of context of everything. That right there is Rua Centro, and then 1 block down is Praia Grande. So let me grab my book and let's go up there and talk more about it. Okay, here we go. This was built in 1860, named after the King of Portugal, Dom Pedro V, who reigned for those 8 years. And it's a Western-style theater in China, and an important landmark to the Macanese community, public events, celebrations, designed by Macanese Pedro Germano Marquez, neoclassic style. That's a common theme, the neoclassic style. And there was more in 1873 that was built as well. So that's kind of the basic general information about it. So let's head on in this way, and we're going to try to capture the different angles of it as well, and we're going to take you inside. But before we do, it's kind of cool. I can actually see the balcony of that other. The balconies are so amazing around here. So incredible. Okay, so before we do, I'm just going to bring you over here real quick. I'm going to tell you the story about Tom Thumb as well. But that right there, this road, this was a prominent road, like a main street, Rua Centro, and that was basically where all the shops were at. So people would come up here and do their shopping, and then down there, one more street, was where Praia Grande is at. It's still there now, but now there's reclaimed land, so it has a different feel to it. Pretty cool buildings right in here. Nice views. Okay, so I'm going to talk about Tom Thumb as well, and I'm also going to point out to some passages. So I think what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go in and show you where he performed. So let's do that. Let's just go on in. Okay. So that's the stage. I'm gonna go upstairs as well. We're gonna go to the gallery. It's up there. So we can't enter, but we can look around. So yeah, this was built in 1860. Check out those columns. That was like kind of the style at that time, those giant columns on the side. This is pretty cool space. So, okay, so actually this guy, let me see, American comedian. This was illustrated in 1845. And then in 1862, he was in, basically I'll tell you a little bit of his background, but you can read a little bit about it there, including that he did a tour of Asia, started in 1869. So this probably would have been about 10 years old, kind of new. And apart from the performance of the Dom Pedro Theater right there. So I'll tell you a little bit about this book. This book is about Macau historically, especially in the colonial era, and about music in particular. But they were talking about this particular guy, and they referenced this book, and I was right here, so I thought I'd film it. But he's an American comedian who was very famous in the 1860s. This was built in 1860. I think it's maybe a little famous before, but he, let's kind of walk down and I'll tell you. But basically he became famous through the Barnum Circus. That's San Augustino's up there, down there. Actually, I'm going to talk more when we get outside again. And I'll tell you more about him. I'm just going to come over here real quick. This says for reservation. Oh, there's a pretty good too. Let me just see. I haven't been in here before. Oh, okay, these are some of the performers. I heard about this. They used to have cabaret shows, so they're referencing the cabaret shows. So I guess they used to have that in the 1976. Okay. Performers. So yeah, actually this fits in really well with that. Huh. This probably would also fit in really well with this too. I really like the blend. There's a painting of this place. The Guanyin and others too. Lots of Guanyin here. Macau skyline. Oh, this is what it used to look like a long time ago. This is the one that the doors open so I could actually see. That was the next one I was going to go to. Oh, very cool. Guanyin. Oh. Huh. I'm going to go to the window. Huh. This looks really beautiful. Wow. It's kids would love that a lot. Puzzles. It's a nice, interesting mix. So now you can see down to that street. I couldn't get a good angle of it before. Okay. Actually, it's interesting because I was going to talk more about the history, and here's a lot of it right here. It's a Senate building. (1846), so that would have been right around this time. I mean, this was built in 1860. Okay, that's Maria Ferreira do Amaral. He was assassinated. So that would have been a kind of volatile time. It's a lot to take in here. Senate Square. This is the original Praia Grande right here. So this one is, yeah, stay tuned looking for this one because I'll talk about it later. But this one is in a different video. That's Peña Church. And then people would walk up and down. And according to this book here, there was bands that would play every Tuesday, Thursday and Sundays up here at San Francisco Gardens. And people would walk up this promenade. And all the writers that came here in the 1800s would all talk about that, about how beautiful that was. And then of course some of them would come up the hill a little bit, which we were probably in this area, I think. And they go up a little bit, and then they would there'd be like performances here at this theater, and international performers would come through, and including the Tom Thumb, who was actually on a tour for 3 years in Asia. So he came through here as well and performed. And so it's hard to imagine like comedians and musicians on world tours in the 1860s, but they were. Thank you. Oh wow. This is all the I guess they must have had a show here. Oh. I like all the Portuguese tiles. Actually, this building is really amazing. It's funny. We got gold, money. Thank you. Gold jukebox. There's another one here too. Okay, so I'm going to come on out. Very, very cool. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to come back and come on out. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to do a nice shout out to the writer who wrote this book, Viaga Jardim. I don't know his, actually I do know his story a little bit. I don't know if he's where he's at now, but he did some really amazing research. That's a church right there, St. Augustine's, and there's also a seminary up here, and I'm reading another book about the seminary and how important it was. So it's also equally interesting. I'll save that for another video, of course. We did more than enough in this particular one. So at this particular moment, I'm just going to come over here to this nice little plaza, take it in, think about colonial life. And that's the Dom Pedro Theater. And then this is basically talks about it being a historical center of Macau. So yeah, 16th century to 1999, historic center, east and west. So yeah, pretty interesting. Okay. So I'm just gonna come over here real quick. I'm just gonna grab a seat this next to this beautiful banyan tree. The seat looks a little bit wet. And it's gonna open this up real quick, but that's our building. And then real quick, that's our map. So yeah, the yellow is the old Macau, and we're basically just up the hill a little bit. So that's St. Augustine's right there. So that's where we're at. And then if you go down one little bit, that's the promenade. So that one picture had the big promenade of Praia Grande, and people would play music here, and they would walk up and down here. And pretty much everybody that came to Macau would do the same thing. And they would talk about how beautiful the breeze was, and just the general vibe. And then they would come up into stuff like this as well. This is Rua Centro was just down that way. Santa Square was down that way. Then over here there's Rua de Felicidade, which is like Street of Happiness. There's like gambling and opium and bars, restaurants, nightlife area historically at that time period as well. So very, very interesting. Oh, I should also mention too, I don't know if I mentioned it, but I guess it's important news. But yeah, that's actually his real height. So he was actually only, they said how many inches he was, but it's like about 3 foot. Here it is. No taller than 25 inches. So he was made famous in 1942 by the Barnum Circus. That was really big in the United States at that time. And he was the biggest attraction in town or country by 1847. And even though it's like 2023, I've heard his name when I grew up. I always heard it. I didn't really know who he was, but he's this tall little man. And these things are kind of like the era too, because I remember seeing pictures of like Abraham Lincoln's time and 1860 kind of stuff, 1870s, and you'd see stuff like that. So when I saw his picture, I'm like, huh, Portuguese? What is that? Who is that? But yeah, that's Tom Thumb. And then he was performing with Abraham Lincoln, and so he's only 2 meters. So he had his joke. He said, "God likes to do funny things. Here you have the long and short of it." He's making his jokes. But yeah, he went around to all the different British colonies of India, the Singapore, Australia, Hong Kong, and the Portuguese colony of Macau, along the coast of China as well, including Shanghai. So he went up and down the coast all in 1869 was when he was here. So this would have only been 90 years old. It would have just been built 9 years previously. Anyways, another little bit of interesting history for y'all. So hope you enjoyed that one. Hey, check it out, Macau 2023. Check out some more streets. Toma cuidado la